Good morning. Good morning. It is Saturday morning. Talking to you right here from Columbus, Ohio, where it looks like it's going to snow once again. I just want to welcome you to our Saturday morning power breakfast. As you can see, I got a couple of lovely ladies on with me, and I'm excited about having them share on this important topic. We are just about a couple of days from being done with the first quarter of 2014. Can you believe that? A quarter of the year is already over. And my question to you is, how's it going? Is it all that you wanted it to be? Is it all that you were looking forward to 2014 being in terms of moving you towards your goals and your dreams? Well, let me tell you, this is a great weekend to really take assessment of your first quarter. I mean, I did that this morning earlier. I kind of got up, spent some quiet time looking at what were the high points of 2014 and what were the unexpected low points of it. And let me tell you, there were things that were on both sides of the spectrum already in this year of 2014. So I want to encourage you to take that time and do that assessment. But then even more powerfully, let's look at more powerful, let's look at what's going to happen for the rest of 2014. How are you going to make this year the year you want to be? And it's not too late you still got 3/4 of the year to go, 75%. It's not too late to make this year the year that turns your life around. Now today we're talking about the harnessing the power of interdependence. And I kind of got this concept from a book that you may have heard about, I'm sure you have. It's called 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. Now, that book was written by Stephen Covey, and it's become one of the best-selling business books of all time. And in that book, he talks about 3 levels of maturity. The first level, and you can think about a little baby when you think about this one, is, or unfortunately, some teenagers who come back home or young adults who come back home. But the first level is called dependence. And dependence is basically exactly what it sounds like. You're relying on other people for everything, all your necessities of life. That's the dependence phase. Well, once you get past the dependence phase, you go to an independence phase. And I can tell you, with a teenager, I understand that independence. You guys can probably remember when you were teenagers, when you were just trying to get your own voice in the world and really trying to determine how you were going to stand out there and be your own person. And some people call that teenageritis and so forth and so on. But you get to the point where you're a lone ranger. And I'll tell you, when you get involved, especially with marketing online, it's very simple, very easy to start to get back into that independence mindset. Because literally, I look at my life, I can sit here from home, I can work from home. It's snowing outside, or about to snow outside, and that's cool. I can still do stuff. I don't have to go to a job. I don't have to fight traffic. I can be my own little island. And that's a good thing, but also can be a limiting thing. You see, because what you want to do is you want to go from independence to the next level, and that next level is interdependence. Interdependence. And that's when you're working with people to create results. You're working with people to create the outcomes that you're looking for. It's working together. So you go from dependence, right? Father-son relationship, mother-child relationship, parent-child relationship, to independence where you're your own person, to interdependence when you're truly working together. And that's where the whole concept of team comes in. Together, everyone achieves more. Well, before we dig in, and we're going to really unpack some tangible ways that we've done this in this half hour. We're going to share with you some tangible ways that we've harnessed the power of interdependence to create results. And I'm telling you what, if you're not using this power, you're missing out. You're making things so much harder for yourself than they have to be. But before I go on, I'm going to take advantage of interdependence and let you introduce you to a couple of other ladies who are on here. So first off, I think Julie's kind of doing something. So Regina, jump in. Tell us your thoughts on interdependence. And say hello.
Hello. Wow. I don't even know where to begin. This has been huge for me because in the last year or two, I've really come to appreciate how powerful interdependence is. Working with other people. I like to call it more of a mastermind, actually, where you get together with people of like minds and grow and work together and work off of each other. And for some reason, this has been different for me. I don't know if I've always just tried to be a lone ranger or just didn't get, work with people for some reason. I mean, I've always gotten along with others, but this has been new to actually focus on working together, targeting certain people to work with and working with others. So I love this area because it's been an area of growth, and I think it's critical. And for me, that's even started to expand into coaching, into not only coaching my team but seeking coaching, which I guess is the same thing. Still working with people. You mastermind with people that are of like mind and where you're at, but you also mastermind with people that are where you want to go. So this is huge. I'm looking forward to this conversation.
Excellent, excellent. Julie, jump in. Say hello. Tell
Hey,
us
good
your
morning,
thoughts.
everybody. This is Julie Becker, and yeah, I was jotting down some notes. Is what I was doing. I was getting my little because Tony, as you were speaking, and Regina, as you were speaking, sometimes when I'm listening, an idea pops into my head, and I want to write it down so I can be able to share the thought with you. And this is a hugely important concept. I think we all are quite similar in the fact that we can get behind the desk. I mean, Regina, I totally get where you're coming from too. I am definitely like a Lone Ranger type. I'm like I see something, I want to do it. I have the mind. I'm okay. I'm going to get it done. The buck stops here. I'm just going to take the actions that I need to take, and I'm going to do it. So, sitting behind the desk and working on the computer, especially with online marketing, it's very easy to get into that mode where you're just constantly doing things by yourself. You're taking action and you're doing things, which is great, which is awesome. But I've been listening to some really awesome mindset trainings this week, and really just tweaking myself a little bit further, and doing that for myself and for the people that I'm around, because one of the things that you need to do, and one of the reasons why you need to reach out to other people and work with other people, is it helps you constantly to tell this, form in your mind, the story of where you're going, and getting around other people helps you to focus in on that and to tell the story of where you're going. And what do I mean by that? I mean, right now you're at where you're at, right? And your thinking in your mind keeps you where you're at. And unless you get around other people and hear other voices, people who are or have things or are at places in their life where you want to go, you cannot get there. I mean, you can think about these things by yourself, but you are just raising your awareness even more and being able to formulate and clarify your story even more when you get around those people. You have to make an effort to reach out to them and get around them, because when you try to do it by yourself, you're so used to telling the story of where you've been and where you are, right? Where you've been and where you are. And the problem with that is, if you keep telling the story of where you were and where you are, you can't possibly get to where you want to go, right? You have to get used to thinking about where you want to go, where you want to be, and getting around other people who think that way and help you to tell that story of where you're going. That becomes your new story. Not where you were, not where you're at. It becomes where you're going, and getting around other people is extremely powerful in helping you to tell that story. Because it's all about, we are, Tony, Regina, and I are very much immersed in this type of culture now. And when I feel myself stagnating, like when I feel myself getting frustrated, or just things aren't moving along the way I want them to move along, 9 times out of 10, it's because I'm spending too much time doing my activities and not enough time plugging into other people who are going to help me get to where I want to go and remind me that I need to focus on the story of where I want to go. Because it's very easy to get back into stagnant patterns, habits. It's very easy to get back into habits of telling the story about your past and telling the story of just where you are now. Okay, it's easy to do that if you're an island to yourself. when you reach out to those people who are constantly moving forward and you're working with those people going forward, like in here, like Regina said, this is a mastermind. We get together because of the power of our minds together help us to tell our story of going forward. Then it just creates a whole new level of momentum for you. I mean, the whole objective here is to create some momentum, not to stick in the mud, right? You don't want to stick in the same place you're at. You don't want to stick in the mud. You want to go forward. And so I have found it critical, absolutely critical, to spend time to listen to other people, but to interact. It can't just be listening either. You got to make an attempt to interact with people, because that is going to help you to, again, reiterate the story of where you're going. It gets you in practice too. I mean, when Tony and Regina and I talk, we talk about where we're going, how we're going to get there. And when we do that and we say it out loud, we're programming our brains. We're saying it out loud, and we're saying, here's where we are going. You know, we can figure out the hows and the ways to get there, and our subconscious knows how to do that, and we're helping each other work that out. But we're telling the story. When we work together and we reach out, we're telling the story of where we are going, and that becomes our story. And the more we talk about it, the more powerful it becomes. And I'll tell you, the more I do that, when I get around other people and I'm telling the story of where I'm going, I'll tell you, the universe loves speed. It's amazing. I was talking to somebody else earlier on in the week about this, and I said, when I made that little shift, I'm like, my phone started ringing, because I put my phone number in emails and things like that. My phone started ringing, and I got some more people coming into the business. I mean, I'm telling you, if you make that mind shift and you focus on reaching out and telling the story of where you want to go by getting around other people who are moving in the direction that you want to go, powerful things happen. So yes, interdependence is critical. I don't want people to get on here thinking it's just going to take me taking massive action by myself. Yeah, it does. That's a component. You do have to take action and specify specific actions, every single day. But on top of that, you have to plug in. You have to get with people and get around people who help you tell the story of where you're going. Because otherwise, it's very, very difficult to move forward. Just because of your past hang-ups, habits, whatever it is, and sometimes, reading a piece of paper just doesn't do it. Getting around other people and having live energy, listening and interacting and having that live energy makes all the difference in the world if you want to move forward and get to where you want to go. So I've been I'm passionate about this subject right now. Can you tell? So that's what I'm going to say on that right now. I don't want to hog up all the time here. I see we're at 1:15, so let's go around for the next banter of topic.
Well, thank you so much, Julie, for sharing that, and you shared some great information. I think about tangible ways that we apply interdependence, and one of the first things that comes to mind for me is a concept that really, the term workout partner was not something that I applied towards business until I got involved with this currently building our business that we're working together right now. That term was always one I reserved for the gym. But once that was applied to business, it really helped me understand that there was a power in having, two or more people with the same goals who could hold each other accountable. One of the first things that people know when they get to start working with me is that they will never suffer for lack of information on how to succeed. There's great, information that's made available. I always tell people they need to bring three things to the table. Number one, they have to be a person of their word. Number two, they have to be a person who has a goal or dream of wanting more in their life. But then number three, and I say this is also very important, they have to be teachable. And the key to that is the fact that there is so much information that we get. Well, I believe that it's more information than one person can really digest and test on their own. I believe that there's a great power in having a couple of people going through it together so that you could, find out. I'll tell you how to do this in a minute. But a couple of people working on it together so that you can say, did you understand it to be this way? And they can say, yes, I did, or no, I didn't. And you put those synergies together, that synergistic mind meld, if you will. The mastermind is what Napoleon Hill called it in Think and Grow Rich. You put it together and you're getting more from the information. There have been a number of times where, and I can think of times of three of us, we were in a chat on Facebook watching a webinar, and we'd hear somebody say something, say, is that real? Is that for real? Or do you believe that? Or I don't think that's right. You know? And it's great to do that. Think if we were just there by ourselves and you'd better be sitting there saying, well, maybe it's just me. Or maybe it's not working. Well, no, it's great to have three people or more or less, one other person who can sit with you and say, yes, what you're seeing is what I'm seeing. I mean, I can think of just yesterday, I said to Regina, can you believe they said that? This is something that we heard on a webinar, because, again, it keeps you on track. And it helps you know that the stuff you're having challenges with, someone else is having challenges with. The things that are successful for you, you can teach to someone else, and that could be a win for both of you. And then that person can then tell you something that they have that's working for them, and that can be a win for both of you too. I encourage you, and if you're on our team, you know this is the case. And if you're not on our team, I hope you click on the button next to our video and get on our team. You will find out that there are Facebook groups. I'm getting down to the nitty-gritty with you now. There are Facebook groups that you'll be added to. And what I encourage you to do is just don't go into those Facebook groups and become a fly on the wall. Go in those Facebook groups and contribute. Get to know the people in there. Maybe make a friend request to someone who you see in there, and you guys start linking up. You guys start your own mastermind. You guys start saying, hey, let's link arms. I see you're new. I'm new. Let's dig into this information together. Let's start learning this stuff together, and then we can grow together. There is such a power in that. And that's truly what interdependence is really about. It's about not just relying on your own understanding, but also putting your heads together with others. It's a biblical concept. When two or more are gathered in his name. I mean, this happens, you see this in anything, that the power of teamwork makes a huge difference. So, Regina, talk on that. Speak on that. Tell me what you think. I know you've been nodding your head because you know this kind of stuff we've done, so go ahead and share.
Well, I agree. I was just thinking about, it just kind of bouncing things off of each other. What really came to mind was the power of a mastermind group of people is that if you keep it small enough, like the three of us have done that together, is that we all think differently and we all catch different things. Maybe something that I've caught or I've focused on, or that, whatever the case is going to be different from you. So you and I especially have gone, did you hear this? And I'll be like, no, where was that at? And I'll say, did you see that? And you're like, no, where was that at? And because our experiences, our background, our personalities, we catch different things. And so it kind of fills the gap, because if we can talk about it, we can fill gaps, and we can, I know for me, sometimes some of the things you share, it just really opens my mind. It's not something I would have even considered. And we'll talk about something that we heard on a webinar. We'll talk about a new piece of training we're getting, and it'll expand. It'll be like, wow, okay, I never thought of that. And then the other thing that is really powerful for me is, and again, I'll refer to working back with both of you, is that something that I'm not strong in, one of you may be. For example, Tony, what comes to mind with you is you're a huge numbers guy. And you will know the breakdown of numbers and percentages and all, and I'm just like, I just get glazed over. I'm like, numbers is not my strong suit. So I'm not a numbers person, but very much more maybe reading people, or feeling people out and understanding kind of more of where they're coming from, things that aren't said, and so it's kind of cool because we'll see or feel or intuitively pick up different things because of who we are and our experiences. So I think that's just priceless to be able to. It's kind of like a partnership. It's like having a wife or a husband, but in a work sense, because you balance each other and you complement each other. Now I'm single, but I believe that's what a relationship or a marriage is about, is working together and complementing each other. So I like it because the areas that I'm not strong in or that I don't bring to the table, my workout partner or my mastermind partners can fill that gap. And together I think we make a more powerful whole. because we bring our pieces together and we just, we really are more powerful like that. So.
That's awesome. Julie, you can kind of speak to us from the standpoint of being married. Tell us, is this kind of what it's like? Go ahead, share.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's a great analogy too, because when you have common goals like you do when you have a partner or spouse, it's much easier. Sometimes you got to have the same goal. Now it's got to be the same goal. It's much easier when you have the same goal to have two different people asking questions, because I'm very different from my husband in some respects. Yeah, we're both very stubborn, unfortunately, so that works against us. But I'm very much a, what, come on, let's do it, let's get it done, let's go. Whereas he's like, well, don't rush me, let's think about it. How do we, what about this, what about that? I'm just more of, just take the action and take it now. And he's like, well, what about this? And, oh, yeah, maybe that might be a good thing to consider. Okay, yeah. So yes, it is very much like a good partnership like that. You can think about that. And again, what Regina said is very powerful. There's times, if I'm sitting on a webinar by myself and I'm sitting there and I'm listening to it and I'm going, I wonder if that's what they mean by this. Sometimes I'll get into the chat and I'll be like, what does this mean? Or where do I go for that? Or how do I get to this? Or, you have to have people that you can go to. Now, I realize that, not all of you on here, may be connected to anybody. And certainly, we're 3 people, so now we have a lot of people on our teams. And, one thing that Regina mentioned is that, if you have too many people all together at one time, then it can get crowded, then it can get messy. It's kind of hard when there are too many people involved, and that's why when you're on a webinar and you have the chat, sometimes they have comments below the webinars and things like that. That's why they limit it to only a certain number of people, because then there's a lot of people asking questions and commenting, and then it becomes noise. Now, when we're talking about interdependence and working with people, you do want to keep the group smaller, so that you can hear each other's voices and hear the points and address those. I think that's really key too. So realize that if you're on our teams, it's kind of what we're saying is not that we would be getting together and all of a sudden they're in a Facebook chat, and I've seen this happen too, where there's like 20 people in the chat and it's flip, 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 flip. Now that's hard to keep up with and to keep track of and stay on top of. What we're saying is, and so that's why what we're encouraging you to do is, yes, connect with us. Friend me on Facebook, please. If you find me on Facebook, friend me, friend Tony, friend Regina, friend us, send us a friend request, and connect up with us. And yes, you do send us messages, ask us questions. That's awesome. But what we're encouraging you to do too is to find people within your area, even outside of us, people that you can connect with, find peers, because now what you're doing is, in the process of doing that, you're becoming a leader, right? You're following us and you're connecting with us, which is fantastic. It's awesome, and you should be doing that, connecting up with your leaders. But when you're becoming a leader, then you're starting to reach out to other peers as well. People, like Tony mentioned, when you go into some of these Facebook groups, which we will plug you into, which are very powerful, there's other people that you can connect with and form this kind of synergy. Tony, Regina, and I didn't know each other outside of this before. We just kind of found each other. We had very like minds and concepts, and you'll see what I'm talking about when you make the attempt to go in and find other people that they say something that jives with you, and they say something that just really connects something for you, and you get into make a comment. If they make a comment in the Facebook group, you comment back and say, I totally get that. That's what. Let's talk more. And strike up a friendship. Find a couple of close friends who that you gel with, that you have the same ideas, and they're still going to see things differently. Just because you have the same, just because you have the same goals and you think about things similarly, they're still going to hear things and see things differently than you do. But what it does is it helps you to be more synergistic, as Tony mentioned, when you're going towards the same goals. It's a very, very powerful way. And again, when you're going through trainings together, when you're listening to things together, and you can chat back and forth, that's a very powerful way. I mean, asking questions. I mean, I'm one of those people. I'm just a question asker. I'm constantly like, I write things down because my brain just goes so fast. And I used to have a really bad problem with interrupting. Oh my gosh, I was horrible because I would hear something and be like, what about this? What about? And like, because my brain was just moving so fast, and I was afraid if I didn't ask the question, right, then I would forget it and go flying out of my head. Which I'm in my 40s now, so that does happen. So I have to write it down. But that's why you want to do that, because you're gonna have questions. I promise you. And if you don't have questions, it's because you're stagnant. Okay? If you don't have questions, it's because you're not learning and you're stagnant. You're going to have lots of questions, and that's a good thing. And then you have to, you have Tony, you have Regina, you have myself to send those questions to. You can ask us questions. I mean, we're all very responsive. But you know what? I encourage you to raise your leadership lid, to become a leader. Start searching out some other people that can be peers that you can connect up with. That's what a leader does. A leader goes out and tries to and is looking to form their own group, their own mastermind. That's what leaders do, and it doesn't mean that And hey, reach for people. Here's one thing I do too, and I know the three of us do this too. Reach for people that are I won't say above you, but have like a lot more knowledge in a particular area than you do. Because that's just going to help you to raise, your level of awareness. It's going to help you to get to where you're going to connect up with people who maybe know more about things than you do. Don't be afraid to do that. The leaders in this industry that don't have a lot of ego, there are some that do, but most, I would say most, really are in check, because you can't have a huge ego and build a really cohesive, successful team. You just can't. If you have a huge ego, it's really difficult to do that, because you don't connect up with people, and the way you treat people is everything in this business. It's everything. So reach for some of those people too. Reach out for people that inspire you, that you feel like you can learn from, and do that. And again, the more successful you get, the more busy you get, right? You guys know that. We have people. We're getting a lot more busy now. Lots of questions, and because of that, it's a great thing. But a lot of people, want to get together with you, and so you have to manage that too. But the thing is, so just remember to try to keep your. I'm just getting all over the place now. Tony's laughing because it's such a process. It's such a process to go through, and the only way you can learn how to do it is to reach out and do it. So reach out, connect with people, connect with a few people who are peers, and then maybe reach out to one or two people who you think are like up here, like you just really want to be up there with them. Reach out to them, start sending them some messages, ask them some questions, ask them for a friend request. Be cool about it. Just reach out and do that. You're going to be surprised at what comes back at you, and how cool people really are, and how much you can learn from other people. You're going to be amazed when you just do it. So don't be afraid. Don't be sitting there going, I don't know if I should. What's the worst anybody can say? No, big deal. Or if somebody says I don't have time, then literally they don't have time. But you're not going to know unless you try. Reach out and connect with people, because I'm telling you, people really want to connect with you. They do. They want to connect with you. They're waiting for you to ask. So by connecting with them, it's just going to help you just go forward even faster. So, okay, I've been jammering here for a while. Next!
Well, thank you so much, Julie. I can tell you're so passionate about it. It's like, man, I was sitting back here, I was like, wow. I was thinking of last week I was, you ladies were not available, and so I had to do the power breakfast by myself. I'll tell you what, by the time I got to a half hour, I was tired of hearing myself talk. So it's just been a pleasure to be able to trade off with you guys and get your insights and so forth. So this has been awesome. Robert Kiyosaki, he talks about this in his Rich Dad series. He says that, in school, we're not trained to be rich. We're trained to be poor middle class. And in school, what we're trained to do is we don't look on anyone else's paper. We work alone. We work in these little silos. Okay? But in big business, in success, it's not like that. You don't work alone. You work together. You look at each other's paper in real life, in business. You're looking at each other's paper. You're taking tests together. And that's what we're doing, literally, and I encourage you again, as we wrap up, I encourage you to, on the page, you'll see a place where you can get on our list. You can find out more information about what we're doing. Get on that list because we're going to be sending you some information that over the next few days, we're coming out with a product that's going to be something that it's going to change this whole industry. And so it'll be something that we have available. Doesn't matter whose list you're on. Just get on that person's list and get ready to get that information. And when you get that information, it's going to be like being in school again. You're going to learn a bunch of stuff, but the great thing, unlike school, is that when it's time to take the test, i.e., when it's time to apply the information, you'll be able to do it together. You'll be able to do it together. And I'm excited about you being able to get a hold of that information. I encourage you, like I said, get on that list right now. You see somewhere you can link in? Get on that list right now so that you can get this information because it's going to change your life. I'm just excited about it, and I'm excited about it getting in your hands. I'm excited about the stories you'll be able to tell about how you got on a Saturday morning power breakfast, got some information, and that information led to your life being so much better than it is today. So I'm going to wrap up with that. Julie, you want to say goodbye real quick? Regina, you want to say goodbye real quick?
Yeah, I just want to say, as you were talking, I encourage people. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay. I just want to encourage people to definitely connect with us, because one of the things I thought of as you're talking real quick, Tony, is that each of us has that ability and that knack and that persistence that we stay very tuned into what's going on. So when people mastermind with us, they're going to keep their thumb on the pulse of the company, the pulse of the industry, and the pulse of getting their business built. So I encourage you to mastermind, get in our mastermind. We encourage you to join us. So however you got here or whoever you're affiliated with here, definitely connect with that person and join our mastermind, because we've got our thumb on the pulse and we'll keep you in the right place. I just wanted to share that.
Absolutely, absolutely great point. I'm glad you said that, Regina. And listen, guys, don't be afraid to call us. I think all of us put our phone numbers in our emails. Don't be afraid to do that. I have people call me, and they're like, wow, you really answered the phone. That's cool. And listen, we're not here. Call us and ask us questions. I've had people call me up on the phone, and if you're on this, you'll know who you are. I'm not trying to convince you of anything or trying to, brainwash you or do anything else. We're all very straight shooters here. Don't ever be afraid to ask us something and feel like you're going to get like a sales pitch or some, something like that. We're here to answer your questions and to help you. And maybe what we're doing is for you and maybe it isn't, but I promise you we're going to answer your questions truthfully, honestly, and we're going to be real about that. That's who we are. We're not, some kind of like guru-y people who are trying to get you to, do something that you don't want to do. We're here to open your eyes and share information with you. So, don't be afraid to call us. We're real people just like you. We're available, and we are very plugged in, just like Regina said. I mean, we're constantly, is that what's going on? Yeah, what about this over here? I mean, stay plugged in, and don't be afraid to reach out. Hey, we are very approachable, very real, and we're here for you, because we wouldn't be in this business if we didn't want to help people truthfully. So do make sure, and thank you for bringing that up, Regina, because, that's just super important. Plug in.
Awesome. Well, you guys have a great week. We'll see you here next Saturday. We're going to have some great things to share with you because, as I said before, there's some great things happening over the next couple of days. Link up with us, contact us, be in touch with us, be a part of what's happening because it's not only going to be something that's just cool, but it's going to be something that changes your future for the better if you plug in and you do what we're sharing with you to do. So have a great week. Love you guys. Be blessed, and I'll talk to you soon. Bye-bye now.
Bye.